Hi, I'm John Stevenson, and we'll be looking at the Noahic covenant in our continuing study of the book of Genesis. This is chapter 9, verse 1, and God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." Now that's an echo of what God had said to Adam and Eve back in Genesis, at the end of Genesis chapter 1. So again, he repeats that. This is the idea of a new creation that's taking place. Verse 2 says, "The fear of you and the terror of you will be on every beast of the earth and on every bird of the sky, with everything that creeps on the ground and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are given." So not only be fruitful and multiply, but the idea of rulership, where man is again told that he's ruling over all creation, all of the animals that have been created. Every moving thing that is alive shall be food for you. I give all to you as I gave the green plant. Now, this is something of a change. Where previously we read back in Genesis chapter 1 that every herb of the field and all the things that grew from trees were given as food, and that had been underscored when they were put into the garden, save the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But now there's a change. Every moving thing shall be food for you. Verse 4, "Only you shall not eat flesh with its life." So just as in the Garden of Eden, there was one thing they could not eat, that was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So likewise here in verse 4, there's one thing you shall not eat, and you won't eat flesh with its life. That is, now the explanation of that, it's blood. So when an animal was taken and eaten, they were to drain the blood. Verse 5, "Surely I will require your lifeblood. From every beast I will require it, and from every man's brother I will require the life of man." They were not to be eating blood. And now we have the statement, "Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed." Why? Because in the image of God he made man. That is, of all that exists upon the earth, there is one thing that is so precious, and that's not just life, because plants are alive and animals are alive, but that is the life of man, because man alone is made in the image of God. And so because of that, the penalty for taking man's life is that his own life is forfeit. Then God spoke to Noah and to his sons with him, saying, "Now behold, I myself do establish my covenant." This is the first time we've actually seen the word covenant back in chapter 6, but now it's going to be explained. "I myself do establish my covenant with you, and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, and every beast of the earth with you, of all that comes out of the ark, even every beast of the earth." This brings up that question, what is a covenant? A covenant involves a relationship between the parties that are making the covenant, but it's more than just a relationship. It also contains promises, but it goes beyond just a relationship and promises. There's also stipulations in a covenant, where each party of the covenant, if they are under a covenant, they have the ability to be given different stipulations. We already saw where man is told, you're going to rule over the world, but you're going to treat man, because he's made in the image of God, in a special way. And that's one of the stipulations that has just been given. There's also a curse involved in the covenant. Now, we're not going to see that so much here in the Noahic covenant, except that we already saw, if you take man's life, then your own life is forfeit. So, in a sense, that comes under that curse idea. But the way you make a covenant, that's not going to be explained here, but this was part and parcel of the idea of the covenant, so that it would have been understood to the readers of this passage. You make a covenant by taking an animal and killing it, and then what you're saying is, if I break the stipulations, if I break the promises of this covenant, what happened to that animal will happen to the guilty party. So there's a relationship, and there's promises, and there's stipulations, and I think very often, if not always, there's a curse involved. We're going to see this more when we get to the Abrahamic covenant. So this covenant is made between God, and he's the party of the first part, and he's making this covenant with Noah, but also with Noah's descendants, also with every living creature. He's making it with the entire world. a covenant between God and the world, although we call it the Noahic covenant, not because it's only with Noah, but because Noah is the chief representative that's present. God goes on to say, I establish my covenant with you, and all flesh shall, here's God's promise, all flesh shall never again be cut off by the water of the flood. Now, that's not saying there'll never be any kind of flooding, but any kind of flooding won't kill all flesh. Neither shall there again be a flood to destroy the earth. That again we talked about previously about local versus universal flooding. This is very big. This is the language of universality, and there won't be a flood to destroy the earth. God said, this is the sign of the covenant which I'm making, because covenants also have a sign, something you can see that will give witness to the covenant. This is the sign of the covenant which I'm making between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all successive generations. Notice it's a covenant not only that goes to the immediate, but that goes to every succeeding generation. Verse 13, I set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a sign of a covenant between me and the earth. And so the rainbow is given. And I ask, why the rainbow? And of course, one reason is when it rains, that's when you see a rainbow. But why a bow? And the reason why, when you look at the rainbow, yes, it's bowed, yes, it arcs. But remember that the word bow has another meaning not only in our English language, but also in the Hebrew. That is, the idea of a bow also referred to that weapon of warfare, and it was the mightiest weapon of warfare known in that day because it was a weapon that could kill you from a distance. You didn't have to be right next to somebody. You could actually shoot an arrow and kill somebody from far away. It was the ancient equivalent of today's nuclear warheads. You could kill someone from a distance. And God is saying by this, I'm taking my weapon of warfare and I'm going to hang it in the clouds, sort of put it over the mantle, because I am not at war with the human race right now, and I'm promising never to kill the human race in that manner again.